We're in Cork, and I think it's probably the county second happiest that Galway managed to beat Kerry at the weekend. It's been alluded to a few times here, and I'm joined by the PwC GAA GPA Player for the month of June. I think I got that title right. The month of June, but in Galway's hearts and in your heart, I'm sure June is long gone. You're looking forward now to later into July and August, hopefully.
Yeah, no, exactly. I said we parked the bus there now. June is gone by. So it was a nice month, my birthday month, and it was a Father's Day present to Dad. So it was always a nice thing to have looking back. But looking forward, I suppose we're concentrating on the Super 8s now, and said now our next obstacle is Kildare now on Sunday in Newbridge.
The Galway-Kerry game, while it might go in the history books for the first time for Galway beating Kerry since the 1960s, I think, it won't go in the history books for prettiness. Were you bored out of your mind playing in it like people were watching it?
No, I was probably just absolutely wrecked, and my mind was probably wandering. Like, why are we training? I don't know. Like it was. I suppose for us, we can't control, I suppose, the weather conditions that were in place on the day, and then I suppose the way that the game kind of transpired. Because I suppose nobody wants to start off the Super 8 with a loss either. Like, and it kind of, I suppose, the game probably played like that. It was probably tight and tense, but there wasn't an inch been given anywhere. Like, the game was nip and tuck the whole way through, and I suppose for the football diehards that would love to see this fancy football, like the conditions that were there in the day, like it was literally you could get the ball and you could be in space and the ball was dropping out of your hands. So like it was one of those days you just minding primary possession was key. And I suppose
now you mentioned the football diehards, both Galway and Kerry would be known as counties that play fluid, pretty football, for the want of a better phrase, or they used to. That reputation was always there. It doesn't seem to be there anymore, but you don't seem to be too bothered. You don't really mind how you play as long as you get the result.
I don't know, like obviously we like to put in a performance, like that's what we go out to do, like, because often like teams can, we can't control, I suppose, teams the way they perform, and we can only control what's inside our four walls of the dressing room. And I suppose going forward, that's probably the big thing for us. And like results, if they come along with that, then with our performances, brilliant, like that. That's obviously what we're I suppose. In the down the tunnel, I suppose we're probably looking at, we're not fully there yet. We're looking at the Dublins, the Kerrys, the Tyrones, the structures they've put in place the last couple of years. Like they're year in, year out doing the business. Like, so we know that we're catching up to them, but we still have a bit to go. So I suppose for us, these results on top of the performances are absolutely brilliant. Like, and I suppose for us, for people outside, we can't control what they think. We're just concentrating on ourselves. Because they can obviously lead us away as well. Because the hype after beating Kerry on Sunday as well can often be, oh, look at that, it's brilliant. But look, we've parked it on Sunday. Kevin and the lads will be looking to refocus us again now for Kildare.
Kildare, it's funny that you mentioned Kevin and Kildare in the same sentence. Obviously, when I think of them and lots of people, you think of 1998 and the All-Ireland final against Kildare. Kevin was in midfield for Galway that day. Do you have any memories of that at all?
Yeah, and it's funny, I've actually watched the history of Galway football. Literally, I'd say that's probably the most watched video I've ever watched in my life. But I could nearly recite the whole thing to you. It's like, it was brilliant to see that back in the day, because I suppose I wasn't probably able to take it all in at the time. I was only 5, like, so that was all relatively new. But I always remember there was it's in the shopping centre now at the moment, but in Tune. But it was great to be able to go down and be singing the fields of Athenry, looking at the team coming in on the bus. Like, it was, one of those memories I'll never forget. So for us, like, it's probably a big thing to try and emulate something like that. But it was in the '98 All Ireland. It was a special day for Galway, because it's like as if all our players, their strongest attributes were brought to the occasion, all for the one cause. I suppose we probably, in a way, we're in a similar setup at the moment with a lot of players there that are bringing different attributes to the team.
Does Kevin Walsh ever talk about the '98 All Ireland? Does he ever go down memory lane with you guys?
That's only I think that's only a bragging right thing. I think if we ever got on top of Kevin with a bit of slagging, he'd only come at us then with something like that. So I know it wouldn't really, obviously he'd probably, in a subtle way, he's probably trying to bring things he's brought forward from his career, like, into management, and he probably trying to instill that probably a bit of confidence and that probably a bit of maturity as well that he had in his game that coming into our setup. Like, so other than that, like, he wouldn't really, because it's different times, different football. He'd say it himself. Like,
you're on the back of a win against Kerry, you're on the back of beating Mayo in the Connacht Championship, you've beat Roscommon, and Mayo are gone. Roscommon did not have a good day out. Kildare lost against Monaghan, you beat Kerry. You'd have to understand you're going in there as favourites to beat Kildare, even though it is in the fortress that is Newbridge.
Look, again, it's probably the outside picture that's put there that we're seen as favourites. But like, we know we were like on the crest of a wave last year. We were winning Division 2. We were beating Mayo, and then next thing we came along and played Roscommon, and they turned us over. So like, we know all about what the favourites tag does to teams as well. So
did that get into your heads, do you think, now when you look back on it?
I suppose looking back on it, you'd have to say yes. I suppose like, we weren't experienced enough at the time, and we probably still had experience at the time to know if it really and truly was that scenario. But like, 'cause I know Roscommon were very good on the day as well. But it's one of those things. I suppose it's hard to fathom out kind of how we let those kind of things get into that situation. But these things, look, everything maybe happens for a reason, and I suppose we just have to take it as a learning curve. Because if we just said, look, we didn't turn up on the day and Roscommon did, and that was it, we wouldn't be learning at all from that. So we still have to, as much and all as painful it was to look back through it and take things out of it, it had to be done. Like, and I suppose going forward, hopefully that's going to be the making of us as well, because with a young group we have to learn from these experiences and bring it forward into the rest of the championship and the years going forward as well.
And finally, before I let you go, Paul Conroy suffered a horrific injury. How's he getting on since? Yeah,
it's obviously a huge disappointment for Paul. Like, he's been a warrior the last 10, 11 years with Galway. Like, so it's just an awful pity that he's missing out in this time at the moment. But he did play his part on Sunday. I'm sure he'll argue maybe he didn't, but as in he was having a big influence in the game at the time. He's kicked a point as well, so he played his part in tiring out Kerry for more lads to come in and tire them out as well. So